As the world becomes more global, corporate governance is emerging as a sound practice for companies to grow in a sustainable way. The benefits are clear. It improves access to capital and financial markets, as well as strengthens the company's strategy. Today, corporate governance has gained considerable momentum in the Middle East and North Africa, and now we'll hear the stories of two cases that illustrate those benefits: NCA Ruiba in Algeria and Nukul Group in Jordan.
Well, the company started as a family business by my father in 1952. It was a trading company. It was until 1958 when he started his first industrial activity at the time. And the group ever since has evolved a lot in terms of number of companies and diversity. Today, the group has 31 companies all over the Middle East and North America. The group today has around 6,000 people with the 31 companies, and it prides itself with the manpower pool of, in my opinion, one of the most qualified in the region, if not the world. So this is our major asset that we pride ourselves with.
L'histoire de la compagnie, retour de la famille après l'indépendance en 1966. Mon père fonde la nouvelle conserverie algérienne qui s'appelle aujourd'hui NCA Ruiba, qui n'a plus le nom Nouvelle Conserverie Algérienne. L'objectif étant de fabriquer des conserves de fruits et légumes. Jusqu'en 1980, jusqu'à la fin des années 80, cette compagnie fabriquait des conserves de fruits et légumes. À partir des années 90, la diversification nous a entraînés dans le secteur des jus de fruits. Et la spécialisation a été confirmée au début des années 2000 où nous avons abandonné l'activité de conserve de fruits et légumes. Début des années 2000, ça a coïncidé aussi avec un grand changement, un grand bouleversement au sein de la compagnie, puisque nous avons introduit au sein de l'entreprise un fonds d'investissement et nous avons transformé l'entreprise d'une SARL familiale en société par action, donc jusqu'à aujourd'hui.
Many companies realize that it is in their interest to introduce corporate governance as they observe the benefits through their own experience. Yet, learning how to apply these principles in a gradual or incremental manner can make the process easier to undertake. So, why did Nukul Group and NCA Ruiba invest in corporate governance, and how was it done?
I joined my father in 1985. It was a one-man show, a self-made man who was doing everything, putting 16 hours a day. He had several plans and he was waiting for me to join. And just to give you an idea, since 1985 till 1996, we moved from 5 companies to 26 companies. It was quite challenging for me, learning the business, trying to spearhead the expansion. It became very obvious to me that we needed to institutionalize the business in many ways. And many of the systems and procedures were not documented. So that was the beginning of, if you will, our journey in institutionalizing the business.
In this day and age of turbulence and financial crisis and countries going bankrupt and lost investor confidence at all levels, people need comfort, people need conviction, people need a sanity check. So for those that want to invest with you in these organizations or organizations that have corporate governance, for them to see the model truly operating and it's truly reflected within the organization will bring that comfort to them and will give you an advantage over the other proposed investments that others are proposing to them.
In order to spearhead the expansion plan at the time, it was necessary for me to do many things, just out of common sense and business sense, to recruit top people, to have systems in place, to have rewarding mechanism, bonuses, profit sharing, to have accountability measures in place, and to have a clear vision so that everyone in the group knows exactly where we're heading and where we want to be in 10 years down the road. Now, this was not easy. The challenges were immense, but it took a lot of dedication, sacrifice, believing in the mission, and hard work, of course. And I realized early on that we were the bottleneck because we were two doing most of calling all the shots, and it was difficult for us. And again, that's how we evolved. We realized that I needed to prepare everything, document everything, and I worked with the team internally first, and then we started bringing in some consultants as we moved forward. So today I can tell you that we are tapping on the talent of 30, 40, even 50 top-notch people who can help us in moving even forward.
Pour nous, la gouvernance d'entreprise était extrêmement importante parce qu'on passait d'un modèle évidemment familial dans lequel il y avait ce qu'on appelle un changement générationnel de prise en charge et de prise des commandes de l'entreprise. Et ce changement générationnel devait être accompagné de la mise en place de règles de jeu qui soient suffisamment transparentes pour toutes les parties prenantes et surtout pour les actionnaires membres de la famille. Maintenant, gouvernance d'entreprise aussi signifie aussi une excellente visibilité vis-à-vis des tiers, donc que sont les banques, les institutions donc, gouvernementales avec lesquelles nous travaillons, l'administration et aussi les fournisseurs et surtout les employés de l'entreprise qui étaient davantage rassurés à travers la mise en place de cette nouvelle façon de fonctionner qu'on appelle aujourd'hui gouvernance d'entreprise.
Tout cela était, disons, inspiré par un souci de transparence. Dans une entreprise familiale, on a besoin d'être transparent. Il peut y avoir des enjeux, des conflits, des suspicions, mini-suspicions, on va dire. Il faut dire les choses comme elles sont, qui n'existent peut-être pas dans une entreprise classique et qu'on a besoin de traiter aussi et d'en éviter les conséquences. Donc, être transparent était un souci majeur pour nous, qui a été décliné donc, de la simple gestion des processus opérationnels jusqu'au pilotage stratégique de l'entreprise.
En complément, ce que je voudrais rajouter, c'est que dans des entreprises familiales, la mise en place de gouvernance d'entreprise permet aussi de réduire de façon considérable les tensions entre les actionnaires membres d'une même famille et ouvre la porte à la mise en place de conseils de famille et une charte de la famille. Parce que très souvent dans les entreprises familiales, ce que nous voyons, c'est que le management de l'entreprise familiale est entre les mains des membres de la famille qui n'ont pas forcément les compétences pour. La gouvernance d'entreprise permet de mettre sur la table ce sujet important de la bonne personne à la bonne place dans la structure organisationnelle de l'entreprise sans absolument donner du crédit au caractère familial ou non de la personne. Alors, ce qui a réellement changé, de mon point de vue, c'est chaque acteur, chaque partie prenante, stakeholder en anglais, chaque partie prenante a eu un comportement qui a complètement changé avec notre entreprise. Premièrement, les employés de l'entreprise. Les employés de l'entreprise, le niveau de bien-être qu'ils ont perçu et le niveau de sûreté qu'ils sentaient, ils étaient rassurés par le management de l'entreprise. Deuxièmement, les fournisseurs de l'entreprise, on a vu un changement d'attitude puisqu'ils étaient prêts à faire des concessions beaucoup plus importantes. Troisièmement, les bailleurs de fonds. L'entreprise s'est ouvert à un champ de bailleurs de fonds extrêmement important, c'est-à-dire les banquiers, d'autres fonds d'investissement, les institutions financières internationales, nous regardaient différemment et nous accordaient énormément de crédit. Et en dernier lieu, les actionnaires qui, eux, au début avaient une attitude assez, disons, frileuse vis-à-vis de cette notion de transparence et de gouvernance d'entreprise et qui se sont retrouvés dans une situation où ils étaient très contents de ce mécanisme de gouvernance.
In the MENA region, companies tend to focus on 4 important elements to improve their corporate governance practices. First, strengthening the effectiveness of the board of directors. Second, improving the company's transparency to the public. Third, planning for the company's succession to future generations. And finally, establishing long-lasting corporate values.
They set the pace, they set the culture, they set the values, they set the ethics, they set the objectives, and without their true dedication and belief in corporate governance, the rest of the organization would not really follow suit.
The roles and relationships between management, shareholders, and the board tend to overlap and are often unclear. In most MENA countries, and not uncommon in other parts of the world, owners of companies tend to fulfill the roles of both chairman and CEO. Companies often find it difficult to move quickly to a more formal and independent board, especially if the founders are still running the company. There are concerns of increased bureaucracy, as well as issues of power and control. Yet when given the chance, most companies see the value of a strong and diverse board. One way to make the transition is to begin by forming an advisory board or committee that can provide advice without destabilizing the existing ownership and power structures.
The role of the board of directors, once you separate ownership from management, changes because now they are not busy with running the business and the day-to-day affairs. And this enables the board of directors to have the helicopter view of what the organization is doing and where it's going. So our board of directors, what they do is they appoint the CEOs, they approve the appointment of the first line of reports to the CEOs, they approve strategy, and they look at results. As part of the board, we have also committees, two committees. One of them is the audit committee, and this reviews the reports of internal, external auditors and ensures that financial controls and financial governance are in place. And sometimes it goes beyond financial, like IT, like human resource issues.
So we started off with an advisory board that was 7 years ago with 2 independent board members. And to be honest, at the time, the selection was based on my intuition. But as we evolved, and it served a lot, to be honest, but I felt deep inside that it was not as effective as I wanted it to be, similar to all the other things that we have done in the group. So basically we evolved, and when we separated management from ownership, we started thinking of a new board, and we put down a criteria, a scientific criteria, on what do we need in the new independent board members. And finally, we put a short list of 10 individuals from outside the group, not shareholders, not in the business, not in the industry, because I needed diversity. I needed somebody from different backgrounds, from different school of thoughts, from different complete mentality.
Nous avons formalisé de façon claire et de façon précise absolument toutes les réunions de conseil d'administration, toutes les assemblées générales, dans les règles de l'art, selon les termes de la loi et selon aussi les attentes des actionnaires. Au besoin, pour chaque décision importante, nous avons convoqué l'assemblée générale des actionnaires et nous leur avons soumis le quoi et le pourquoi de la convocation à l'assemblée générale.
Many major companies in the region prefer to keep business and financial practices away from public knowledge and scrutiny. An annual report may not be a requirement for all types of companies, but voluntarily revealing how a company operates encourages the loyalty of employees and can attract investment. Communicating this information establishes a relationship of trust and confidence with shareholders as well as stakeholders, and in family-owned companies, the annual report can also serve as a unified communication tool.
Ce que je trouve qui a été mis d'important à travers cette mise en place de gouvernance d'entreprise, dans un premier temps intuitive et dans un deuxième temps systématique, c'est le fait d'avoir communiqué avec beaucoup de transparence à l'attention de toutes les parties prenantes. Donc on a commencé très rapidement par publier un rapport annuel. Depuis 2003, la NCA publie son rapport annuel dans lequel figurent absolument tous les chiffres de l'entreprise. Il y a les commentaires relatifs à l'activité et il y a absolument tout ce que nous faisons en termes marketing, en termes responsabilité sociale et environnementale, etc.
Il est beaucoup plus agréable et beaucoup plus sain de travailler dans un environnement complètement transparent. Même dans notre manière de gérer, il n'y a pas de cloisonnement d'accès à certaines informations. D'ailleurs, les résultats de l'entreprise sont publiés chaque année lors de l'édition de notre rapport annuel. C'est une chose qui choque, qui pourrait choquer un peu en Algérie, ou qui avait choqué cet excès de transparence, comme disaient certains, mais on voulait décliner un peu l'esprit de gestion qu'il y avait en interne. Il n'y a rien à cacher. Au contraire, si toutes les entreprises étaient beaucoup plus transparentes, je pense que ça se déclinerait même dans les performances des entreprises, sachant que chacun pourrait se situer par rapport à son marché. Donc aujourd'hui, notre souci, c'est décliner au maximum, et ce n'est pas un exercice facile, et je ne peux pas dire que la NCA a réussi cette acrobatie de décliner tous ces objectifs stratégiques en objectifs opérationnels expliqués et qui touchent la fiche de poste de chacun d'entre nous. Mais je dirais que tous les objectifs sont expliqués à tous. Il y a un consensus autour de la vision de la NCA, autour des objectifs stratégiques, et c'est le seul moyen de fédérer l'intérêt de tous et l'implication de tous.
Essentially, the annual report is based around the financial performance of a company. And the reason for that is you cannot add market share to employee turnover to efficiency of production together because each has a different unit. It is the dollar value at the bottom line that represents the applause at the end of the day for everything right and everything wrong that you've done. So this is the start of it. But then you realize soon that the numbers do not tell you the full story. So you need to have more data on the report, on things regarding, for example, market share performance, employee turnover, employee satisfaction. But by the time you've finished, you realize that as an entity, an organization, your success is measured by your relationships with suppliers, customers, employees, shareholders, government, community, and the environment.
Training and communication without actual on-job involvement and people experiencing what you're talking about doesn't work. This comes through, for instance, enforcing the annual report. In the annual report, you always need to scrutinize it and question what is submitted to you. So people will be on their toes to ensure that what they're writing reflects what reality is on the ground. So for instance, if they tell you, we are embodying the code of ethics, and you know that you have several code of ethics violations in the organization, you need to call them in and tell them, listen guys, I don't want you just to put it in the report just for the sense of the putting in the report, and hold them liable for it.
Most family-owned businesses start with a single founder, and the overwhelming majority of these businesses, unfortunately, collapse by the third generation as family members are forced to share control or because other conflicts arise. The need for a specific succession plan is imperative to ensure a smooth transfer of power and knowledge for the continuity and success of the business.
Again, part of the evolution process, we realized that being the family members does not always make you the most qualified. So that was the starting of our thinking of having a family protocol, part of which is also addressing the issue of succession. And today, a year ago, we signed what we call a family constitution or a family protocol that governs everything you can think of about the family vis-a-vis the business or investments or wealth or liabilities or family councils or family conflict or you name it. And in the family protocol, we have a succession plan that talks about a family board that selects the most qualified individuals, bloodline of course, from the family that sit on the business board representing the family as investors in the business. So part of, again, the corporate governance is that, because you do not want the family issues to interfere in the business. And this is the separation I was talking about.
Succession planning is an essence of corporate governance because you need to ensure the interest of all stakeholders. And this is not done if a key person leaves the organization and there's a vacancy. One vacancy in the organization can paralyze it. Therefore, the organization always needs to ensure that it has in the pipeline people that are being developed and are ready to take over.
Core values shape and define the character and culture of a company. A code of conduct or a code of ethics can help preserve the spirit of the company, especially as family-owned businesses go through generational transitions. These types of codes are an important tool to define values, clarify expectations, and provide guidance to employees about how they should behave when performing their work.
I think the most important part, the soft part of the organization, it is the core values. It is how people are expected to behave. Now, no matter how many systems you put in place, you cannot cover everything. And you need to preserve the entrepreneurial spirit of the people as well. So you don't need to delay the process and slow down the organization with bureaucracy and long systems. So at the end of the day, you need a set of behaviors that are acceptable in the organization, okay, and beliefs that the organization has to become the unifying factor. Another part of it was accountability. Now, if you just throw it there and you don't hold people accountable to it, nobody will take it seriously. So we had to take victims, if I may say, along the way, people who infringe on a core value, and then ensure that accountability is practiced and that communication is also followed to other people, you know. So you're showing the people, this is what happens if somebody behaves very well and aids and enhances the behavior of the organization within the framework, and then you had to show examples of the opposite as well.
The reality of corporate governance is not just in systems and values and ethics that all corporations need to embody, but it is a true connect between the boardroom to the shop floor to ensure that it is communicated effectively, everybody understands it, and it is woven within the fabric of the organization in a true sense.
Finally, codes and regulations can be useful to set guidelines for minimum requirement or best practices. But it is only by realizing that corporate governance is not just a box-ticking exercise. It simply makes sense.
During the journey, I feel that when you thrive for success, everything else follows. But if you look for only profits, you could get blinded easily. And profits could come and go, money can go and go, but success in the true sense, in its complete form, is what we thrive for. And my word to any generation, in family business or elsewhere, is to look for success in everything you do, whether it's CSR, philanthropy, corporate governance, or running your business. And profits will come later. A very important hadith sharif from Prophet Muhammad that I always use, and I cannot emphasize it enough, which is, إِنَّ اللَّهَ يُحِبُّ أَنْ قَامَ أَحَدَكُمْ بِعَمَلٍ أَنْ يُتْقِنَهُ, which means that God likes if anybody does something to do it right. And I cannot emphasize it enough. If you do things right, this is what counts. No matter how trivial you think it is, or no matter in which field it is, business, philanthropy, society, even your family, friends, what have you. I think what we need in our culture is to keep reminding ourselves of this very important saying.